What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me another time. Thank you for listening to this all the way to the end. Thank you for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Thank you for checking it out for getting a reading at zambonifunk.com. Thanks for going to my Patreon, where you can get an electional report to help you time your life to make sure that you are starting things at moments that are auspicious with the heavens and not starting things at moments that are difficult. Thanks for checking out the new music. There's new music this week. It's already out. It's on Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, wherever you like to get your music at. It is in that place. It is we just made a live album, me and the band that I've got here in town. Shout out to King Socks, who also made a record recently. He appears on this album, as well as he mixed and mastered it. So be sure to check that out. Let me know what you think about it. I'm very proud of it. There's some video going to be coming out pretty soon as well. I did a little podcast last week also talking about my history of funk and the P and all this. So be sure and check those things out. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, part of the reason why I think it's so good to do an announcement like that about like being very proud of the music is because we've got Venus moving into Leo this week. So this is important because there's been all this stuff in Taurus for so long, right? Stuff has been in Taurus from 2018 if we're thinking about Uranus, or for a year and a half if we're thinking about the nodes. We've got the North Node there in Taurus as well, or for the past 6 weeks or so. Is that right? Maybe 5 by now, with Mercury retrograde there in Taurus. We've also got Jupiter there in Taurus, and that's only been there for maybe like 2 weeks or something like this, but will be there for the whole year. So Venus, who rules Taurus, changing signs, changes that whole Taurus dynamic. And this particular ingress is important because Venus is moving into Leo, which is where Mars is. So the two of them are going to be hanging out. By the way, I super recommend going out in the evening times and checking out the western horizon. So after the sun goes down, then in the western horizon, you'll see Venus. Venus is usually the first star that'll come out. It's the brightest star in the sky. And especially right now, because Venus is so far from the sun, that we've got like a lot of Venus showing up in the sky. And then a little bit after that, then Mars will come out, and the two of them are like right next to each other, and we'll be getting closer and closer and closer for a little while. Now, we're not actually going to see that conjunction take place before Venus moves retrograde, turns backwards, and starts moving backward in Leo. That's going to happen late June when that starts. But for right now, we're going to be able to see Venus and Mars getting closer and closer in Leo. It's pretty cool to watch. Highly recommend that. So while we've got this Venus moving into Leo here, then all the Taurus stuff is going to change. Venus is also going to be making a square to all of this Taurus stuff. This is interesting because that's actually not going to happen until early next week, but we've got this sort of application all this week, right? So Venus is applying to square Jupiter in Taurus, and we'll get that square to Jupiter in Taurus 3 times throughout this Venus retrograde process here. So, it's nice to see benefics talking to each other in some kind of a hard aspect is going to be like strong or something like this. It's going to be like noticeable. A square sometimes can be like a little bit of tension or something like this. But especially with Venus and Mars there together, like tension and release is like fun. It's a part of the game, And Venus and Leo is, to my mind, it is the most proud of all of the Venus placements. Like people who have Venus in Taurus or Venus in Pisces or Venus in Libra, those are traditionally dignified placements for Venus. That's where Venus does really well at doing the Venus things. I feel like I hear about them less frequently than people who have Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo people are like, yes, I have Venus in Leo and you should know about it, right? There's something that is very proud about that placement. And I think that kind of pride and there's a kind of drama And you know, there's like drama in the sense of like, who was it? Was it like Mary J. Blige, who's like not doing drama anymore? Like, whatever, Mary. Or like, so there's that kind of drama, but then there's also drama like a stage show or something like this, right? Like the sense of like a narrative arc and this kind of thing. This, especially with Venus moving into the same sign as Mars, and Mars is like in a nice place here in Leo. Mars knows how to do Leo things pretty well. If it's Leo's job to like burn a fire consistently in a fixed sort of way, Mars knows how to burn a fire, right? This is not Venus and Mars together in Cancer before, where Mars doesn't really know how to like hug up the babies very well. He's like got knives in his hands and shit like this. Like he doesn't know how to do all that. But you put Mars and Venus together in Leo, and there's this kind of dramatic story arc that is magnetic and attractive and exciting, and like it's the kind of thing that it's a story worth telling, right? And especially since we can see that there's this square coming in from Jupiter also, and Jupiter is in the overcoming position and also ruled by that Venus, and so there's a strong communication in between those two. With Jupiter, I often think about some kind of meaning or the big picture. There's often some kind of like wisdom, or there's a maybe a teachable moment here or something like that. Like this to me looks like some kind of way to get a grasp on future dynamics. We can also notice that as soon as Venus moves into Leo, then we're going to see an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius, right? And this is also Pluto's last week in Aquarius before moving back into Capricorn for a little while and revisiting Pluto and Capricorn things. But if Pluto in Aquarius is associated with the future, you know, big F future, thinking about like, how does this society relate to or not relate to the Jetsons? That's kind of how I've been thinking about Pluto and Aquarius, right? And so we've been AI, and we could think about Rosie the robot, and like how does the imaginative or the imagined robot intelligence match up to the real robot intelligence that we actually are here navigating in this actual life, right? So there's this kind of like, that's what I'm thinking about with Pluto and Aquarius. As soon as Venus moves into Leo, we get this dramatic flair, which is very good for a stage performance or something like that. And we see the square to Jupiter as well, maybe giving us some context and meaning, some understanding or something like this, the teachable moment. And then also seeing that with Pluto, there's some kind of like reference to or understanding of future dynamics that wants to take place here as well. As we do all that, then we're going to be moving into Venus retrograde season. Venus retrograde season is going to be a time for reevaluation. That's my favorite Venus retrograde word, is reevaluation, because Venus is very much about value and desire and the things that matter to you in your heart. Especially Venus and Leo is going to be like really big on heart dynamics. So how do you feel in your heart space in this kind of thing, right? So navigating that sort of stuff is really what's going to be coming up here. Now we've also got Mercury there in Taurus, and Mercury has been with has been retrograde there with Jupiter and then with Uranus as well. That Mercury-Uranus dynamic has been wildly confusing. And, there's been a strong difficulty in getting things to move in the direction that you want them to move in. And then also, like, I've noticed a strong bit of like, it's been difficult to get up and get moving. And so I think that this is also our last week of Mercury and Taurus here. And so I think that especially today, which is when we have the conjunction between Mercury and Uranus, but then moving past that, I feel like the Mercury dynamics are gonna maybe like level out a little bit. And so then really it's gonna be about sort of telling the story that is Venus and Mars and Jupiter, and maybe throw in some Pluto there as well. This story arc is going to take a little time here to take place. We've got this whole Venus retrograde is going to happen all summer. Maybe it's hot girl summer for you. I know it is for me. I got a new album out. Maybe you should check that out, see what's going on. Like, it's going to be, there's a nice exposition this week. I'm out of time. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you check out all the things, ZamboniFunk.com. Appreciate you.